It's 7 o'clock. We will call to order our Tuesday, August 29th meeting of the Common Council. Mr. O'Connor, will you lead us in the pledge?
Sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lees, will you call the roll?
Mr. Ayer,
Present.
Mr. Boyce,
Present.
Mr. Davis, Mr. O'Connor,
Here.
Mr. Peterson,
Here.
Mr. Schwartz,
Present.
Mr. Sparks,
Present.
Ms. Wiles,
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's a fun night. We get to go a little bit off script tonight and recognize the Mayor's Youth Council. I joked with one of our developers that's here, these are not folks that are speaking against Pulte. But we are excited to have them here. Mr. Mayor, you'll be down here, correct? We'll call off everybody's names, and then if you just want to go across here, back out that door, and then down the stairs, there should be refreshments, I believe, down in the lobby.
There are. Thank you, Mr. President, for that. It is an exciting night. It was nice to walk in City Hall and hear happy voices. Not that there's usually not happy voices.
Sometimes.
But I will say we are used to, in a city council meeting when it's this full, usually we've done something terribly wrong. So tonight we've done something terribly right, which is incredibly exciting. So I get to stand before you today to introduce an incredible group of young men and women. This is our sixth class of the Mayor's Youth Council. You may recall this initiative was started under a predecessor of mine, Mayor John Ditzler, back in 2018, as a way to engage young folks in our community and really discussions on what is important to the next generation of leaders in the city of Noblesville, have them be a part of our conversations here on the city level as we continue to grow our community, have them undertake different initiatives that are important to the next generation, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the experience getting to know them. I laughed earlier. First of all, it's a rare day, and John Hughes pointed out that I'm wearing a suit jacket and a button-up shirt, so you can tell it's an important night in the city, but also it's just an exciting time to have them all here and to be a part of the conversation. I'm used to seeing them on Tuesday mornings. They meet at 7:30 in the morning, and I can tell you they aren't always looking like this at 7:30 in the morning. They're much more awake tonight and lively. I'm usually the very annoying morning person that they get to deal with on a Tuesday morning. So, but it's such an honor, and in a day and age where we turn on the TV and hear story after story of maybe just upsetting things going on around the country, I can tell you spend a few minutes with these young adults and you will just be incredibly excited about the future of Noblesville. And it's been just an absolute honor. I want to thank not only them for making the commitment they had to go through an application process, they had to sit through an interview process. They are all self-selected, so their leadership selects the next class. This isn't something that we select from City Hall. They are doing it. They're choosing their next group of leaders. They have to sit through an interview process, and then they have to make the commitment to be here on Tuesday mornings at 7:30. So that says a lot about them and their drive and their initiative. And like I said, it's just truly an honor to be a part of it. I also want to take a minute and thank their parents. A lot of them have to get up and get them here on time and are just an absolute key part of that. So parents, thank you for supporting them through this initiative as well. One last person I'd like to acknowledge, Lexi Rock is new in the mayor's staff as of a couple weeks ago. She's going to be focused on external community relations, and so the Mayor's Youth Council is going to slot right underneath her role. So she's going to be a liaison to them. Again, they are self-driven, they are identified in terms of the projects they're working on, but Lexi will help kind of guide city resources. She'll be a guide for you all on the council if you want to get engaged with them or if they want to get engaged with you. Feel free to go through Lexi on that. And like I said, they may be asking you to participate in some of their projects going forward. So with that, I'm going to invite Lexi to come up. I'm going to ask Mr. President if you wouldn't mind reading them off alphabetically. They are going to come up and get their certificate, and then they're going to exit and head downstairs and take a group photo so you all can get on with the business of the city. But thank you for allowing me a few minutes to highlight them tonight.
Aubrey Griffin. We can clap. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Deva Patel. Mallory Stewart. Ani Abraham. Marin Axum. Kate Boyce. Shelby Cook. Amelia Christ. I'll slow down. Logjam. Lizzie Eager. Mia Feigl. Haley Gibbons. Tahira Gibson. Mila Hart. Maggie Lambert. Danielle Leiniger. Joni Lynn. Katie Luna. Maya Narsingani. Julie Noyen. Elizabeth Norris. Aubrey Paul. Jay Sani. Katie Sutton. Allie Thompson. Exley Tricker. Mina Vent. And Charles Zink. They're all outside, but let's give them one last round of applause. Yeah, thank you very much. You guys are welcome to stay if you would like, but you are more than welcome to go get refreshments in the lobby.
Rex has never been happier to see you.
Yeah, right.
Parent, am I dismissed too?
Yeah, right?
I'm a parent.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to approval of our minutes from our August 15th budget meeting.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our August 15th budget meeting. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Approval of our minutes from our August 15th meeting.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our August 15th meeting. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Approval of our agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. Petitions or comments by citizens who are present. I have one from Terry Murphy.
Good evening, I'm Terry Murphy, 5355 East 161st Street. I came before you last meeting to help me out and understand the question as far as why the BZA is zoning, using land use variances for property that is not even zoned for that classification yet. They've got another one coming up for beavers on that. I understand that if the rezone is denied, that the work of the BZA or the variance of the land use will drop to the side. My question was, what is proper? What is the line of process for this? The BZA, I mean, at best, it speeds up the process. At worst, you're zoning by the BZA. What is the procedure? Mr. Ayers, Mr. O'Connor, you guys have been here as long as I have. I've never seen, I haven't been exposed to it before.
I can't answer that, I've been exposed to it before, but, you know.
I've heard it, I've
Yeah.
had it explained to me
Yeah.
twice
Right.
from the left, and I understand that, but I got a problem with the cart before the horse. How can you land use variance property that is not even rezoned yet? So when they present it to you, do they tell you on this rezone, the BZA also has already granted a land use variance?
I would assume they would, I would.
Yeah, that'll be part of the presentation to the board, that if this board
It's
approves it,
contingent,
the development
right.
standard has been
Yeah.
approved contingent upon this
Am I
board's
the only
decision.
one that thinks this is a little bit cart before the horse? I really think that it gives the impropriety of granting something before, what do we need you guys for then? I mean,
Well, we still have the right to
I
deny
agree, and you
zoning.
can, but the BZA also is, they are appointed officials, and I guess, is there a right of judicial review on the BZA? I believe there is.
Yeah, there is, on
Okay.
a petition
That's
for a
one thing that we
variance.
don't have in the council meeting. But I just want you to know that I just can't see how this looks like the procedure. And everybody looks at me like, what are you talking about? We don't do that. So if there isn't a procedure in place,
It's a fair point.
there ought to be one.
I think, and I defer to our counselor, but that's statutory. It sounds, I think that's the way the process is set up from a statutory standpoint. I can't, not being a legal expert, but it seems to me that it's perhaps a little bit wonky, maybe, that's the right word to use.
You know, a lot of verbiage, I just call it out of order.
That's not a defined term, but nonetheless, I think that's the way the statute's set up, but
You know, we go back to 2005 and the land use and that, all the discussions that we had, all the attorneys, all the people, all of that. The appearance of impropriety, the procedures, we had we went through it all. And when I look at you guys, when I say this, and I look at your faces, it just reaffirms that what I got in my craw doesn't sit well with a lot of people, and there ought to be something done. Does it speed up the process, I assume, by a month at least?
I wouldn't say it speeds up the process. I think what I would say is that the rezone, either one. The rezone's got to go through the same process, and then you do a variance afterwards. It would take the same amount of time because the rezone hasn't happened, so we didn't really speed the process up here. It was just the
Well,
staff's position of
I would
asking
do-
the board if they would be in favor of the variance was
I
the
would
way
be,
staff
I would
wanted to go
disagree
on
with
this one.
that from the fact that while it's going through the plan commission and going to the council, it has already gone through and is doing, the BZA's already approved it. Do you think that might influence anybody?
Has it been to the BZA yet?
Pardon me?
Has it been in front of the BZA yet?
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
you
it
haven't even
has.
seen, plan commission, you haven't seen it's already been approved by the BZA.
I haven't seen the project.
Pardon me?
I have not seen the project, I don't.
That's what I mean, but it's already got a land use variance on it. And I'm not saying that. Same thing's going on with Cherry Tree, the gravel pit. BZA is doing land use variances for property that is zoned either SR, they're looking for an R1, and then a variance of the R1, and it's still SR. It
I
seems out
don't
of
believe
order.
we'll see the Beaver project.
No.
We won't see the Beaver project regardless.
Well,
That's just
I'm
what
just,
yeah.
And
it's
I'm
happening.
kind of curious as to whether, if they went in front of the BZA, because if they got turned down in front of the BZA, it's a simpler process, costs less money than moving ahead. If they went to the plan commission, went to the council, and then got turned down by the BZA, would the project, I don't know the project,
And I
so.
don't have a problem when you have you're meeting bulk requirements, but all of these are land uses to conform to or to change the rezoning that hasn't even occurred yet and hasn't even gone to the council and even the plan commission, but the BZA has ruled on.
Has it been in front of the planning commission?
No, it will be in front of Plan Commission, I think, at the next Plan Commission meeting. So the project we're talking about here, it was a development standard variance of the width of the lots. And then followed up by a rezone that would allow for larger lots, but these are smaller than what those bulk standards allow. The Beaver project, just because you mentioned it, is a land use variance, which is a different standard with a much higher burden that petitioner has to meet to be able to use property that's not otherwise zoned correctly. But that is a proper process under the statute.
I will say from our end, like, I think everybody behind this dais has never hesitated to vote no on something if they don't agree with it.
I'm sorry, I have here.
Everybody behind this dais has never hesitated to vote no if they don't agree with something. And so
I don't question anybody on that. The problem that I have is it speeds up the process, my opinion, and it asks for variances that are not applied. It would have to go to the plan commission, would have to go and be rezoned by the council, then you would go get a BZA. Not a BZA before the plan commission and before it even goes to the council. And it'll come to you with an approval. And I'm not saying it influences anybody, but as a constituent out here and that, I look at the BZA stuff. There's another path starting. I mean, I just think there should be procedurally so that the appearance of impropriety,
Right, I can't say whether, I can't say we've seen this before, but we may have. I just don't, I don't recall it. I know that
well,
the recommendations do carry a little bit of weight, more from the plan commission than probably from the BZA.
And I agree, and I can come and let you know every one of them if you want.
Do
But
what? I'm sorry.
the ones that are gone, I like seeing you guys anyway, but you should look at it. But thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Terry.
If there are other citizens who would like to speak, there are cards out in the lobby, and you can hand those to Miss Lees, and we will call you up at that time. We have a few council committee reports. Wastewater, Mr. Sparks?
Yes, the wastewater committee met on August 17th. Mr. Margot introduced Mr. Stephen Stryker as basically to fill the position for professional accounting staff. And we discussed the proposed new sewer rate for drinking water treatment, backwash, filter, backwash stuff that the Indiana cities and these other outfits do. And stated that the new ordinance for the new water companies is approximately 80% complete. The financial report by Baker Tilly was reviewed and stated that the utility is maintaining healthy cash balances and has stated collection revenues for 2022 are above the budget and operating expenses were below budget. And stated that 2024 is the end for commitment for keeping rates static for 4 years, and so it will be a determination year for new rates. And also stated that the lift station 2 project has been re-engineered to lower the cost, and stated the temporary 3-year harbor period for the 2020 bonds will end in September. So that's pretty good. That's about it.
Any questions for Mr. Sparks? If not, we'll move on to Parks, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parks Board met earlier this month. Some of the comments from events and programming. Dillon Park concerts wrapped up and saw an approximate attendance of 6,000 attendees over the 2 months. Federal Hill Commons is mostly through the season with 2 more concerts to go, September 1st and September 9th. Hard to believe, but they're already talking about winter. It's just around the corner for them. They've started conversations about the ice rink and timing. They'll be meeting to discuss also about light displays. They had the official ribbon cutting for the new Forest Park playground that was the week before the meeting, I guess. We were able to invite our Forest Park campers to take part in photos. Maintenance, they removed overgrown bushes at Forest Park Pro Shop. The maintenance building received new paint on the front, new gutters, new leaf guard, river rock in the front flower beds. If you haven't had a chance, the new doors on the carousel made an awesome difference. Looks really good. The north wall shrubs were trimmed, and various other maintenance. Golf continues to have outstanding attendance and numbers, record-setting actually, so that's something nice. They do have two full-time recreation program coordinator positions open. Please go to the Parks Department for more information on that, and that's about it.
Any questions for Mr. Schwartz?
Did they replace the AstroTurf on the first tee at Forest Park? New? New? Oh, okay. I just had to ask, if you're gonna refurbish the facility, maybe a new piece of turf out there would be nice, but just a thought.
Maybe he'll go talk to council.
That may be in the budget for '24.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. On to finance.
Finance, thank you, Mr. President. We met the 24th of August. Somewhat of an abbreviated agenda. The 2023 salary ordinance revision, which is on the agenda tonight, is ordinance 631022B. There's a couple of changes from a compensation perspective, really more about titles of different folks in the salary ordinance, communications manager, community relations manager. I think Mr. Light may be handling that this evening, but that's on the agenda for conversation. And the claims come with a favorable recommendation, but it was one of the shorter finance committees we've had for quite some time, so that's the report.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
Mr. President, I would move to approve the claims.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the claims. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0. On to miscellaneous number 1. Council to hear a report from Nickel Plate Arts. Ms. McGill,
Hi, everybody.
welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me this evening. I admit I'm not getting my computer to talk to the system here. I'm going to try one more thing. And if not, then I'm going to wing it. But you've got arts guides that are coming around, and I can make sure that you get this full presentation after the fact. One more second. I don't know why it's not recognizing my display. Do you guys think this will plug in here?
You represent artists, not IT experts.
Right, that's
So,
correct.
yeah,
That is
it's-
correct.
yeah,
There are digital artists in our network, but
Yes.
not Mac experts,
Yeah.
apparently. So, all right, I'm going to wing it. I'm going to grab a copy so I can see what page we're on. Thank you. So I am the executive director of Nickel Plate Arts. We serve as not only the city's connection to the Indiana Arts Commission, but we're actually the regional partner for the Indiana Arts Commission for the central part of the state, which means that there are 7 counties that come to us and go through us for the state's grant program. So we have a wide network. We have over 1,000 artists who interface with us regularly. And as you can see on page 4 and 5 of the magazine that I just gave you, in the past, in 2022, we served about 1,500 people, which, sorry, that is incorrect. Hold on. What did we say about numbers and artists?
Lots of them.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah. All right, so we have, yeah, I was right, okay. We had over 15,000 people, almost 16,000, visit either our campus or Noblesville last year, which I think is great. This annual report that's on page 4 and 5 gives you lots and lots of numbers that just help reemphasize that we've been continuing on this upward trajectory. So we continue to see success, and in many categories, we have finally gotten back to above our pre-pandemic levels. So we've gotten back on the path we were on before COVID caused us to shut everything down. I also want to draw your attention to that orange box on the bottom of page 5, which points out each year we use the Americans for the Arts Economic Calculator. They've put years of research into this calculator to help us see our impact in the community. And through their math, we generated nearly $588,500 worth of household income in Hamilton County last year, and supported about 30 full-time equivalent jobs. And then the attendees to our in-person events brought nearly $329,000 into the local economy. So we hope that really emphasizes that investment in us really is an investment throughout the whole community that continues to generate. It's not as if that money just goes into oil paint on canvases and disappears from this community. It cycles through and supports a lot of people in their work. I also want to share with you guys that if you are interested in this deeper presentation that I can share after the meeting, because I can't get it on screen at the moment, we track our sales data for Noblesville. Noblesville is a project that our grant from the city of Noblesville specifically supports. And we want to make sure that that data is available to help continue to tell the story in downtown for merchants around the square. We in some categories, we may be a good bellwether for the other merchants. In other categories, we may be way, way off of the average, but it's something to start with. So in 2022, because that's the year for which we have complete data, our gross income there was a little over $20,000. And the average customer bought 2 items in a transaction, and their average transaction price was almost $37. I think that's interesting because every year that we've analyzed those average transactions, it's always in that $35 to $42 range, which I just think is fascinating. It points to the fact that it helps tell the greater story that we've sort of known internally all along, which is that folks are comfortable making impulse purchases in that $40 range, and they're also not necessarily thinking of Noblesville as a place to come buy fine art, $100,000 pieces that you hang on the wall, and that can be a real challenge for our artists in this community. So when you think about art as an economic driver, that's an indicator that we really need to continue to look at and see if we can keep pushing that average transaction rate up and up and up. Now, it's true, a lot of the items we have at Noblesville are lower priced because it's a gift shop, but still, you can see it all the time, that folks are always shooting for that $40 range. We've started analyzing the numbers for 2023 so far, and it's very similar numbers already for this year.
Ailey,
Yes?
Matt sent me your presentation if you want to put it
Oh,
on
excellent.
that. You can take my iPad.
Oh, great, and set it here?
Yeah, just set it down there. That starts at the, I don't know about that. Yeah. That's
I was gonna see if we
at the very beginning, so I don't
Okay.
know if you need to.
No, that's great.
You might
Anyone?
have to zoom out on the, no, I'm sorry, on the actual.
I see. Oh, I see. I can read, sort of, maybe. There we go. Okay, thank you. Yay. I will look like
Sorry to
No,
bust in
I
there.
really appreciate it. This screen is just a quick overview of what makes up our annual calendar in terms of public events. So we do 6 signature events a year. We also do our fundraising gala, which is coming up in 2 weeks, and hopefully it's on your calendar. We support several partner events, including, of course, the Peony Festival, Art Fair on the Square, which is Hamilton County Artists Association's event, but we handle now all of the operations for that. Front Porch Music Fest, we're their fiscal sponsor, year, and we are very grateful for the city's support for that event. And then Gals Guide Library is actually housed in one of our artist studios, and so we help support their events as well. We do a lot of classes, and we're working to generate even more, both on our campus and at Hamilton County Artists Association. And then, of course, we do lots of exhibits. We do monthly exhibits and quarterly exhibits in various places around the county. We also do a monthly First Friday open house. And I want to make sure I point out, excuse me, that on September 1st, this Friday, will be our 120th consecutive First Friday, which I think is cool. Some of our big projects this year included our 10th annual Comic Book in a Day, where we brought Bob Hall, who's an international comic book hero, really, somebody who has helped found the canon of the Marvel Universe, was in Hamilton County doing that program for us through the Hamilton East Public Library System. And we had over 54 participants who made comic books from scratch that day. So I think that's really cool. We also this year we transformed our event that we used to call Maker Fair into an event that's now called Hatch Fest, and Hatch stands for Hamilton County Arts, Technology, Craft, and Heritage. We did that partially because there is a trademark on the word Maker Fair, and secondly because that all those words really are better at describing what all we do. And so we do that in conjunction with the St. Michael's Strawberry Festival. We have a Juneteenth celebration as part of that event, and just lots of other cool things. This year we had the BattleBots featured in the South Alley, which was by far the coolest thing that I've seen in a long time. So, and I've worked with Bob Hall, so that tells you something. Moving on, we have those graphs. These graphs are the same representation of what's in that report. It's just in graph form. I just want to share these pie charts so that you kind of have a snapshot of how things work for us. This is a pie chart of our fiscal year 23 income. Our fiscal year is July to June. So this just ended this past June. That large-ish blue portion there is support from the city of Noblesville. So that's a little larger than what our grant was for last year, but that's because our last payment from the previous year came in this fiscal year, if that makes sense. It's just a matter of when those payments fall. Some of the other larger categories there are the yellow category right here is our what we bring in sales. So you can see that's a really significant part of our budget. And this is our Hamilton County Tourism Grant, operating grant, which is that gray portion right there. Our other contracts include things like our employee sharing agreements with the Noblesville Chamber of Commerce and the Fishers Arts Council. And so then everything else, all of our program revenue, other grants and things like that are what makes up the last quarter of that pie. To simplify this this actually should be fiscal year 23. I'm sorry, that says 22. But for fiscal year 23, basically a quarter of our income was charitable income and the rest was earned income. And I just want to emphasize that because there are so many nonprofits that struggle with earned income. They don't have those streams to really use our economic engine to support us. You can see that's currently 3/4 of our budget. We want to expand that charitable income and we're working on that now, but hopefully that helps kind of make sense of that big picture for us. Then in terms of our expenses, for the calendar year of 2022, everything that's kind of blue here are projects related to the city of Noblesville. So that's us managing our campus. It's running those 6 signature events here in town. It's collaborating with the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street and any other project that happens within the city limits. So you can see that's about 2/5 of our budget. So hopefully you feel like you're getting good value for the amount of investment. The orange section here is currently kind of categorized as admin, so that would be marketing. It would be all the time I spend just working one-on-one with my staff. It's scheduling, it's accounting, all that kind of stuff. In future years, we're hoping to recategorize some things so you can see the admin that goes into programs. Right now, all that admin is separate. So hopefully that'll balance out our pie just a little bit more and give a slightly more accurate picture of just what our programs cost. So our goal, the things I'm really excited about sharing with you guys is in 2024, really from this moment through 2024, we really want to focus on our city's cultural district. This designation is really unique. There are only 11 other cities in the state that have this designation, and it's something that the city can maximize much more and really leverage for tourism, for communicating that this is a really vibrant place to live, and that this is a great place if you have a creative pursuit, whether it's your main career or a side gig, this is a place where you can really flourish. So we want our cultural district to really reflect all of those things. And we know that in order to really maximize this cultural district, we've got to improve the buildings that make up our campus. If you've looked at them lately, there's some issues there. We need to maximize Hamilton County Artists Association's impact in this community as well. They have a 70-year legacy, and it's something that we should be celebrating and that should be much more front and center. There are several other arts groups in this community that are in that same boat of having an incredible legacy, but at the moment maybe a little bit struggling to come forward and be really seen as part of this community. We really need to prepare for the Lacey Arts Building coming online. That's going to have a huge impact on downtown and the arts community, and we want to make sure that they are ready for all the best practices that we've learned over the last 11 years. We also really want to assist with a continuing public art plan that includes everything from crosswalks to signage to murals to all those things to help make sure that there's a plan that really expresses the values of the city, really embodies the look that we want to have going forward, but also really makes us competitive and puts us toe-to-toe with other communities, maybe in this county, maybe in this state, maybe in the nation. And of course, we can't do anything without really good collaborative partnerships with other nonprofits in this community. That includes Main Street, it includes the Noblesville Chamber of Commerce, it includes our public health and human service organizations. Continuing to cultivate those relationships is going to be critical going forward. So we are constantly thinking about this cultural district map. You may recognize this as a previous parking map that I have shanghaied for this purpose. So this is not an official map that's going out anywhere. It's one that I'm using internally to think about where things are. So you might see little A's on this. Those are places where there's either art to experience or public art to look at. And we want to continually be thinking about the strategy here, thinking about making sure that that's spread out well over this whole cultural district, and that there are easy ways for people to move from place to place and find those cultural elements. So we're also constantly thinking about how to maximize the space we have access to. That includes what's our campus best used for moving forward? What's Hamilton County Artists Association best used for moving forward? What's the Lacey Building best used for? And what's missing from downtown? Spoiler alert, in a few slides I'm going to mention that we have a dearth of theater spaces in downtown Noblesville. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. It's something that we get asked about all the time, and it's definitely something that needs to be on a cultural district radar going forward. So we're constantly playing with this. We're looking for data. We're looking for participation from artists that helps us reinforce that highest best use of spaces. We currently use our campus for everything, and it's not necessarily the best space for everything that we want to use it for. From storage to creating murals to being a professional space for artists to being a collaborative space for other organizations. People rely on us for parking, which I know is kind of hilarious to think about. So the things that we really need from our campus are, we need it to be a professional headquarters where people can find us. We need it to be a secure asset for ourselves for the future. We want it to be a place where you come to get that first taste of the arts, and we're going to take that really literally in the future, hopefully, with while pursuing a liquor license. And then we really need some repairs. So we are currently working with Hamilton County Tourism to transfer our ownership of those buildings to us. Hopefully that will come with a grant to help facilitate some of those repairs. We're also working on cultivating relationships with granting organizations that specialize in either historic restoration or making spaces great for the arts. And so hopefully we can really run with that in calendar year '24. Simultaneously, we're looking at these other partner spaces. We have an operating agreement with Hamilton County Artists Association. They're currently paying us to manage their operations from month to month so that they can do what they do best, which is thinking about what artists need and creating cool exhibits and putting together cool classes and not worrying about, paying for their insurance or making sure that the roof isn't leaking, that kind of stuff. That goes on us. And similarly, we'll be performing a complementary role at the Lacey Arts Building moving forward. Our goal currently is to open what could be as many as 21 additional studio spaces in that building sometime next year, and helping them run building-wide events that connect with the larger cultural district. So imagine next year the opportunity to do an arts crawl, like a pub crawl, probably including just as much alcohol as a pub crawl, but also including arts activities, art shopping, interacting with artists and performers all throughout downtown, from at least the river to this side of the downtown area. That's what we're really shooting for, and that's what we're really excited about. There's one more project that's on our horizon that I hope is the most exciting thing for the city, which is that in a few weeks we're going to announce a rebrand. That rebrand is going to be really Noblesville-centric. The question throughout our history has been, are we a countywide organization that's based in Noblesville, or are we a Noblesville organization that has countywide and beyond impact? And the board and I have come down to the decision that we are, in fact, a Noblesville organization with broader impact. And so that's what our brand will reflect going forward. We hope that our new name and our new logo will be something that it kind of serves as an umbrella that can pull some of these other arts organizations under that umbrella, not to control them, not to determine their destiny, but to help them, again, maximize what they're doing and be part of that larger discussion of what culture in Noblesville is all about. So our goal for working with Hamilton County Artists Association, it's always to raise the arts reputation in Noblesville. We want to be recognized statewide, Midwest-wide, and nationally as a great place for the arts, and Hamilton County Artists Association is critical to that goal. So they're going to continue to focus on artist professional development while we continue to cultivate opportunities for everybody, kind of the first taste sort of thing, and leveraging those together with unified operations towards that goal. Similarly, with the Lacey Arts Building, we're going to apply our best practices to how they operate, and they're going to create high-quality professional space for artists where, yes, wacky things will happen, but amazing things will happen as well. And some of those wacky things will be amazing in and of themselves. And then we have a laundry list of things that we're going to do on our campus to maximize that space, to make the most of the cool historic buildings that we have there, to make it a more functional space for our staff and the artists who use it, and to continue making sure that it's a really good hub for the arts in downtown. There are 2 slides in here that summarize, I guess 3, that summarize the theater study that we did last year. You might remember that I asked the council for sort of the grace to lead this theater study process last year. And the whole report is on our website, so I encourage you to check it out. It is, the key takeaways here are that we don't have any real theater spaces in downtown Noblesville in our cultural district, which is a glaring error, or not error, but omission that really sets us honestly a level below the other cultural districts in the state. It's really important to remember that if we want to go toe-to-toe with other cities in the state and the region, that's something to work on. And we also looked at some comparable spaces, and we have greater detail in the report, of spaces in some of the other cultural districts that might be good models for us to consider going forward. The study also includes a summary of how many seats we think the community could support right now, how different kinds of use of that space could either drive the operation of one space or multiple spaces in downtown. So we really hope that study is something that the city can find useful and point to as we work with developers or other private groups or nonprofits to address that theater problem moving forward. And so just a reminder that an investment in the arts is an investment in this whole community that really does drive economic impact. And I want to make sure you all know you're invited to our gala on September 13th. We're going to stage a fashion show. It's going to be awesome. whatever you wear is the right fashion for the evening. But if you want to feel like you're, in New York in Fashion Week, I promise you that's what Conner Prairie will feel like on September 13th. And so that's really it. Our annual report online also has a brief history, a brief timeline. So if you need to kind of check back on the different projects we've taken on over time, it's there as well. So that's it. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any requests? I can sing, I can dance.
Your last fashion show had Counselor Jensen in a scarf, I think.
If you want to reprise your role, we are going to have exclusive fashions that you can strut your stuff in, Mayor Jensen. Yeah. Fair. That is fair.
I bet Mr. Peterson will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll step up to the plate.
afford me either.
It's really more of a city council role than a
Yes.
mayoral
I
role.
walked right into that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Ailey, I want to say thank you very much for your leadership. If you could just have a little more energy and enthusiasm about this organization. But no.
I'll try, Megan.
You've done
I'll
a
try.
wonderful job in helping to lead this group, and certainly it is a benefit to the city, so thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Aaron, I'm giving you your tablet back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I do like that Mr. Peterson's in your guide.
Oh, yes.
We painted the crosswalks in Arcadia.
Crosswalks.
They had to leave me in the street because I couldn't get up after that photo. I spent the night there.
Thank you very much. Moving on to proposed development presentation. Council to consider introductory information for proposed mixed residential commercial plan development for approximately 603 acres north of East 156th Street, east of Bowdoin Road, south of East 166th Street, and west of Oleo Road, to be known as Finch Creek Planned Development.
Good evening,
Good evening. Thanks for being here.
Mr. President, Council. For the record, Rex Ramage, Pulte Homes. Here with me tonight is the majority of the rest of the folks in the audience. Tabitha Calvain of our office, Tib Oaks Ice Miller, Chase Smith, and John McLean of TWG, our multifamily partner. Tony Gatto with Lennar, Chris Worth with Boomerang Development, and then Todd Pyatt and Paul Clare of Pyatt Homes. So very happy to be here. We'll try not to belabor this. This is a project that has been ongoing for quite some time. We were just before you 2 weeks ago for the economic development agreement portion of this project. But this evening is the council introduction for the rezoning. So there is a rezoning, a plan development, and then a preliminary development plan on file with the city. The site located here in red is already identified by the street areas, but wanted to show that on a map for everyone just to kind of put into picture all the exciting things that you all have been working on here in Noblesville. I see Pacers, I see Bastion, Innovation Mile is just really awesome, and we really want to be part of that ecosystem. So it's not every day we have the opportunity to bring forward a 600-acre project that is a master plan mixed-use development. So we're very excited to be before you this evening. One of the main things I think that I wanted to point out as I was kind of starting to put this together was the amount of common area and open space and trails within this development. So with the 600 acres, 603 plus or minus, there are over 208 acres of open space. Centrally located is about a 40-acre common area that is a chain of lakes for regional detention. That is a 2-mile walking trail around it that then also has connectivity down into the mixed-use area leading to kind of what we would call the gateway or the focal point at 156th and Bowdoin Road. 8.5 miles of trails. Those are both internal and along the perimeter of the project to enhance pedestrian connectivity as this portion of the city develops. So we're very proud of that as well. I'm going to kind of take a brief walk through the development. At this point, I would introduce Chase Smith from TWG to come up. He's right behind me, he snuck up. But again, the corner of 156 and Bowden, highlighted there in red. Turn it over to Chase and let him say a few words.
Good evening, councilors, Mr. Mayor. I will also not belabor the points here because we've all talked about this plenty, but as always, very grateful for the opportunity to come and present to you guys. And very, very excited about this project as well. So as Rex mentioned, TWG will be at the southwest corner of the overall development, or the northeast corner of 156 and Bowden. Recall, this is 295 units of Class A luxury multifamily market rate housing. That's a mouthful, but that's what we do. As I explained a couple weeks ago, that's what we do across the country. This is a project we're doing, a project like this all over, but we're particularly excited about this because, as I mention every time, I am a native son of Noblesville. I'm going to say it every time until you guys pass an ordinance preventing me. Again, 295 units split between 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, market rate with typical amenities that we would do in any project like this, including a pool, dog park. What's particularly interesting about this project is how we were able to, as Rex said, incorporate green space not only in the center there that you see right here, but also connectivity from that southwest corner of our site, or again, the corner of 156 in Bowden, but really up through our site and connecting to Rex's trails that Pulte's doing as a component of their development. So, you know, as we do more projects, I think we more and more find out that the typical renter really values that. Our renters are young professionals, and they tend to be active with dogs. And so to be able to be a part of that much larger whole is something that we're very excited about, and it's a unique aspect of this project. This would be, if you were standing at that roundabout at 156 in Bowden, looking northeast through our site, as you can see, that is kind of that pedestrian plaza that we're very excited about. You would be able to walk just northeast, continue through on that trail, and eventually hit the Pulte trails. We're really trying to make this an active kind of pedestrian plaza right there, perhaps with some artwork, as you see we've rendered. Most of our amenities would be right around this area, so very optimistic that this can be an active lifestyle type community. This would be the northern most corner of our building along Bowden, and that's where we've committed to a 10,000 square foot retail establishment. If you could zoom in right here, which we can't, you would see that says restaurant right there, which is what we do when we anticipate the user being a restaurant. Obviously, at this point, we don't have one lined up, but if you've ever been downtown in any of our projects, we're very successful and very familiar with bringing in retail tenants like that. And in this project specifically, with everything going on in the area, we're very bullish about finding and securing a retail tenant, high quality retail tenant. Right here is a picture of our other amenities. Each one of these is actually a TWG project. Very typical type of amenities that you would see from the resident lounge on the top left and right, down to the dog park, and then the pool. Again, each of which is an example of a amenity that would be in this project. Back to Rex.
Real quick, before you switch, while you're up there, I know there are trails going straight through the center of it. Are there also trails going down 140 or 156 and down Bowden also, if people don't want to go straight through the center and they want to go around to get to the trails?
Yes, sir, there are. As a component of our development agreement with the city, we've agreed to an asphalt trail, installing an asphalt trail on both the western boundary and the southern boundary.
Great. I couldn't really tell in the picture, so thank you. Sorry.
Another quick question while you're up there. Could you give me the breakdown of number of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom units?
I was prepared for that one because Councilor Peterson asked me last time, and I misspoke. Typically, we're at kind of 60, 20, 20, between 1, 2, 3. In this scenario, we are 45, 45, 10 for 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. I would note that can always change slightly as we get into design, but that's what we're anticipating right now.
I guess the reason for that question, it shows 310 parking spaces for 295 units, of which we have 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom.
Yep.
And this isn't really a walk-to-work community, unless you're really fit. What do you think, is that adequate parking? We've run into this in other complexes, is the reason I asked.
Yep, great question. Parking is always a huge item. It's funny because in our downtown projects, most city planners would be cool with having zero parking. Quite obviously, that's not the case where we're at up here in the suburban location. So I think any label you see on there is still subject to change as we get into our actual site plan development with the city. We'll, of course, be bound to the Noblesville parking ordinance, and I think it will end up being more than 310 spots in the end.
Thank you.
Okay, as we start to move throughout the development, there are a few other areas. The next major area within this development is kind of the anchor of their single-family detached residential portion is the Del Webb. So you're all familiar with the Del Webb brand, but it is age-restricted housing. It's the HOPA is the legislative action that allows that to happen. So we have about 690 Del Webb units. There are 3 different home series offered there. 40% of Del Webbers are single, widowed, or divorced, so they don't necessarily need that 2,000, 2,800 square foot house on the larger end. And then 40% of our Del Webbers pay cash, so they're likely coming from within a very close radius within the community. They'd like to be there. Certainly, we do get those transplants as their children and grandchildren are moving to the area, having sports and those types of things. But one of the things about Del Webb that is, right out in front is the amenity package that comes along with it. I think most of you have had the opportunity to walk through our amenity over in Westfield called Kimblewick. That's our Del Webb project over there. But some images of the Kimblewick amenity that would be very similar here. Perhaps the colors and those types of things change a little bit, but what you're actually getting out of the amenity is not going to differ, and perhaps it would be even better in this case. We've learned quite a bit. So. In Westfield, we had a 14,000 square foot amenity. That's the main central building. It has lots of gathering spaces, meeting spaces, workout facilities. There's crafts rooms. There's all kinds of spaces for folks to not have to leave the community to be able to partake in any of those things. So indoor pool, outdoor pool, sport courts, pickleball, and then
How
within...
many pickleball courts?
I'm sorry?
How many?
I think there's gonna be at least 4.
You need more than that.
Yeah, so there's, the Del Webb brand across the country.
Probably wanna go for 8 or 12 or maybe even 16.
Yeah,
It
so,
just depends on how close you are to the housing, because it is a little noisy.
it is. It gets intense, which is good, right? There's a lot of passion there, and folks continuing to stay active in the later stages of life. But there's a study going on right now where we're evaluating tennis courts. Tennis used to be the thing before pickleball. So is it 2 tennis courts? Is it 1 tennis court? We're trying to figure out what the appropriate number is. Perhaps it is 0 to make additional room for pickleball. But needless to say,
Maybe 1.
this is a very robust amenity package, and we're very proud of that. Also sprinkled throughout the development are various pocket parks. There's going to be a dog park. There's going to be a yoga lawn. Naming rights are still up for debate if there's any conversation on that one. Community garden spaces, and then just, again, the other trails and other parts of the community. Like I said, there's going to be 3 series of homes ranging anywhere from about 1,500 to 2,700 square feet. Lots of space, lots of options for folks to choose the right home for their particular lifestyle. Working around the clock, the traditional single-family area, in this area, there's about 530 homes. Now, if you do recall, this includes this rectangle here on the west that actually has frontage along Bowden Road that is owned by Mr. Bowen and Mr. Thompson, Corby Thompson. So we have agreed, as part of our discussions with the city, to bring that in as part of the project. It was zoned and platted a long time ago with some older standards attached to it. So the city had a desire for us to incorporate that, both from an architectural perspective and a land planning, site planning perspective. So we did bring that into the project as well. Within the pink section here, you'll notice some of the lots are the darker purple. So there is, I think there's a commitment of 73 or 72 80-foot wide lots that would take a side load home, just to have another variety of style of housing within the development. I would say all these homes in here are definitely the move-up homes, but allowing a second move-up opportunity for folks that want to continue to live and grow in the Noblesville area. Of course, most of those larger lots are premium lots, so that doesn't have to be there. Unlike most of the single-family residential developments in the last handful of years, we would propose an amenity center that actually has enclosed space, whether that be a fitness room or a gathering room, perhaps both. We have not determined that yet, but again, you see the artistic rendering there on the side of the page. It would have sport courts, playgrounds, potential for some grilling, outdoor kitchen spaces, things of that nature, to make sure that we're really providing, all the amenities that people would want to have within the community, again, so they don't have to exit to have those amenities available to them. Some sample images there on the page. Of course, we still have to go through the ARB process, so that will be here in the next couple of weeks. But we are confident that, this is a high-quality project that will come with very nice homes that the city would be proud of. Last but not least, area C there, the pink area kind of down closer to the mixed-use area is reserved for specialty housing. The housing study that the city conducted a handful of years ago identified a specialty housing component that was desired or that was missing. So we have teamed up with Pyatt Homes, and they are currently building on the south side of 146th Street west of River Road on a project called Legacy. There's going to be some images here on the next page, but the homes live a little bit differently, and they elevate differently, but we think that it hits that niche of meeting the housing study desire for a specialty housing product. So we incorporated that into the project. Again, some illustrative elevations of what those homes might look like. So we filed. We've been through the TAC process. We'll continue to evaluate all of those comments that we receive from various agencies in the city alike. We're here before you as an introduction this evening. We will have ARB here in the next couple of weeks, Plan Commission in September, and then be back before you in October. Now, the goal and desire is that we get through the process and that we're able to do some off-site work later this year, December, maybe early January, so that when the spring comes around next year, that we're off and running. So happy to make ourselves available if you have any questions.
Any questions?
I just wanted to comment, this is one of the first projects I saw 5 years ago when I got on the council. Dave Compton, it was kind of a hostage situation, talking to Dave, But I pushed back then, and you guys have stuck with this through and changed and evolved. You've switched apartment partners, you've switched home builders, and I appreciate that you've listened to us, you've responded to that, and I think you've got a great project. Finally.
Thank you. Appreciate it. There has not been a shortage of input and suggestions and a lot of creativity over the years, so we appreciate the partnership there as well.
I think Mr. Ayers said it at the last meeting, but this is probably one of the biggest projects that we've looked at. And it's important that this develops the way that I think we've all envisioned it. Pickleball courts notwithstanding. I mean, the important thing is, we're talking about a section of real estate, it's 600 acres, so this project is gonna drive a lot of what happens on the east side of Noblesville. So I think Darren's right, we've had a lot of conversations, there's a lot of things here that I think are gonna be great amenities for the city, but it's certainly a partnership with the builders and developers to make sure this thing it gets done correctly. So I'm supportive of it, but it's gonna take a while for this to all build out too. It's not gonna happen overnight, but
Very much so.
done correctly, I think this will be a great addition to the city. So we just need to continue to communicate.
Yes, absolutely.
Only thing I'd add is, we talked about it last week at the Economic Development Agreement, but I really appreciate what you guys have done to enhance the roads surrounding the perimeter of the project, and especially the roundabout, 166th and Bowden, that, could have fallen completely to the city to execute, but with the matching dollars from the state and with you guys throwing in the rest of it, that's 100% paid for outside of us. And so I really appreciate the partnership that, not only did we do trails, but also that's something that every Noblesville resident will experience, being able to travel easier around this project as well.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Don't forget the pickleball.
Yep, Mr. Boyce?
Pickleball, noted.
I know I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, but I'll go ahead and mention it again, just because I really wish there's a way we could bury all those utilities. So, I know you guys are working on it, but I just
Yes.
wanted to mention it again, because I think that's really important for safety and everything, if it's possible in any way, so.
We will continue to push. I'm not sure of the success, but we will continue to try to have those
Awesome.
conversations.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on to new ordinances for discussion. Council to consider ordinance number 63-10-22B, an ordinance amending ordinance number 63-10-22A, the 2023 salary ordinance for appointed officials and employees for the city of Noblesville.
Move to introduce.
Second?
Mr. Moon.
Good evening, Holly Ramon, Human Resources Director. As outlined in my attached letter, we are requesting 3 adjustments in title and in pay grade for 3 full-time positions and for an hourly wage adjustment for a part-time position. As Mr. O'Connor had mentioned, this was discussed during the Finance Committee meeting on Thursday, and funding is in place for these requested changes. We do appreciate your consideration and would also request that you consider approving on first reading due to the city's hiring needs.
Mr. President, I would move to waive the rules and approve this ordinance 63-10-22B on the first reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to waive the rules and approve ordinance number 63-10-22B on first reading. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Ado?
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles?
I would move that we approve ordinance number 63-10-22B as presented.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 63-10-22B. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Ayers?
Aye.
Mr. Boyce?
Aye?
Mr. O'Connor?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz?
Aye.
Mr. Sparks?
Aye.
Ms. Wiles?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nay, the ordinance is approved.
Thank you.
Council to consider ordinance number 22-08-23, an ordinance amending the traffic schedule in chapter 28 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Noblesville, Indiana.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Ms. Lees,
One moment.
we'll let you get caught up.
I'm multitasking. Okay. Earlier this year, there was the regular yearly update to our traffic ordinance. And at the kind of the last minute, something was added. And through a clerical error, it didn't make it into the copy that was signed. And we just discovered this not too long ago. The clerical error was in my department, so it was only right for me to fix it. So that is what is in this. This has to do with declaring 2-hour parking on Clinton Street between 8th Street and 9th Street. And I would request the passage on first reading. And thank you, Ms. Wiles, for catching a typo. In the second whereas clause, it says Schedule 5, and it should be Schedule 7. So if you would be so led to amend the ordinance to get that, I would appreciate it.
Mr. President, I move to amend the ordinance as requested.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to amend the ordinance as requested. Is that a hand vote?
Yep.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
Mr. President, I move to waive the rules and approve ordinance 2208-23 on the first reading.
As amended.
As amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to waive the rules and approve ordinance number 22-08-23 as amended on first reading. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 8-0.
Mr. President, I move to approve ordinance 220823 as amended.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 22-08-23 as amended. This is a roll call vote.
I'm so proud of you all.
Yeah.
Mr. Boyce?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz?
Aye.
Mr. Sparks?
Aye.
Ms. Wiles?
Aye.
Mr. Air?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
8 ayes, 0 nay, the ordinance is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. On to council comments.
I'm going to jump in and say that Noblesville is now the host to a wonderful Front Porch Music Festival that took place this past Saturday. Logan Street was turned into a great concert venue that was enjoyed by many, many visitors and residents. And I was amazed at the age demographics that we had. We had kids in strollers up to more mature people who maybe could use
About
a-
me.
I was trying to be nice, but I just, I congratulate the organizers of the Front Porch Music Festival and happy that we were able to support that project, and going forward, it's just going to continue to grow and highlight what an amazing community we've got, so.
Also, thanks to police and fire and street department for going out and making sure that it was cleared so that it could be enjoyable. I have another comment. We have a new grandfather at the table.
Right.
Mr. O'Connor is a grandfather to a, what did he say, 4-pound?
4 pound, 4 ounces.
Yeah.
Connor Everett Nesbitt made his appearance on Saturday, so we're thrilled for my daughter Carrie, who was a classmate of the mayor's, and, but yeah, it's, it's always a miracle, right, when kids are born, but it's fantastic to finally call myself a grandpa, so that's great.
Congratulations. Any other council comments? Okay, we are adjourned. Quick.